This is not a joke. These are wild strawberries. They could very well be actual strawberries. See the pointed leaves? Now I'm just panning over just a little ways, and there's something else growing that I don't know what it is. So I guess you got to be careful. Some kind of nice ground cover. I think this is a flowering plant that has a dark red flower on a very thin stem that the flower flops over and has reddish yellow colors, but it's really not the season to see it. Now this, you can take a sample of these strawberries out of the ground using a gardening shovel. It's got a point and it's small hand shovel. You can get the kits at Family Dollar and remove the little down into the soil and put it in a pot with some good healthy soil with it. Watch it grow. You'll have yourself either real strawberries from the store, like the size you get from the store, or you could have some wild strawberries and read up on what wild strawberries are all about. They're much tinier, but they might just be nice for an aromatic scent or a conversation piece. We could say, oh, these are wild strawberries from Vale Park in Schenectady, New York. It's a very old place, and I think I'm going to get some, it's not to have morbid fascination, I'm going to get some films of the cemetery too. Appears to be some water buildup here. I don't know if it's sort of place where people are dumping water, or if the looks like the rainwater gets built up here. Might literally come down here and here, because I'm not sure why. If you listen, it seems to me like people have it might not be, I mean, it must be a rainwater spout or drain that comes out of one of these sides that just takes what's falling off the roof or running into their yards and brings it down the hillside. Because if this were sewage, it would stink, it wouldn't be clear water, it'd be nasty. So there could be a drain pipe and this water hasn't dried up yet. Remember, rain runoff is not the same as sewage runoff. So the manholes in the ground over at the street level is usually access points to pipes underground, and it's also rainwater runoff, which I think is what a lot of this is. The ponds, and you can hear the water moving because there's some water runoff that's moving. Oh, here we go. So this is like this is nice because in the winter, if there is water, sometimes you catch it and the surface of it freezes over, but there's still water running through it. And it makes this great sound, and it looks like it's running through a little tube of thin glass. It's very pretty to photograph. And so what you want to do is make sure a lot of this debris is clear because it will back up. So it helps actually to have these rocks because they help block it. And then you can grab all the sticks and leaves with your gloves, pull them up to make sure this natural water drain plug doesn't get full up. Look at this. This is what we're talking about. Look at what this tree is doing to this other tree. I mean, no rhyme or reason. It even zigzags in another, it even just takes a sharp right turn. What is this? It's like it's telling a story of my love life. Just when I was about to meet Mr. Ash, this thing got in the way. Well, this is it. So you could tell they keep it updated. I mean, this isn't a naturally occurring drain, right? So somebody built it so that the rain on the street level behind us goes down into here and makes a nice little waterway, a natural sort of a brook or a stream. It's really not a river, but I suppose it could get to be that when the ice and snow melt. The moving water helps algae stay limited. Standing water can be a hazard for mosquitoes and other problems. Algae stinks after a while, so I found out this. You don't feed the birds bread. If anybody wanted to get into the business of bird feed, then sell it or give it out, or have somebody pay a certain fee towards your thing, and then it's free at these waterways where the birds tend to gather and are already used to being fed. Because bread, it blocks the sun and kills the fish, which creates algae and smells, really bad smells. See, somebody even created a little foot crossing over this muddy area when the water is flowing through here. Look at this broken down tree. It's like red. So what this combination of bird feed is like halved grapes. They like cut them in half, and certain types of seeds are okay, and you can make like, it's a trail mix sort of for birds that are already used to being hand fed in a lot of these parks, and people just can't resist, and they break open that see this, they're going to be cleaning up. I would do it, I really would, but I mean, I'm sure they don't want me to get injured and then try to claim some kind of injury on the job, but that is something I would do normally. I'm even holding my breakfast or brunch, whatever it was I chose to eat. So when they say no dumping, like I said, there's houses up here, and so somebody decided to get rid of their trash, or it landslided down here in the rain, but it looks like somebody dumped it because they didn't want it. So the parks people they come in usually at the spring and just before winter, and they're always keeping track. Here's a larger culvert. I think this is coming out of Union College area. Or it's in that area, because Union College has something like it too. And you'll see there's whole trees that sometimes get stopped up in the culvert, and they have to unblock it. You don't want to fall down here, but you can make it down here. Sometimes you can't worry about looking pretty, but don't be afraid to wear gloves and hold on to trees. If you had to get down here in emergency, look down the way for a shorter drop or a smaller slope. Sometimes the slope is very severe drop off, and then if you look down the way, it's an easy little area. And that I say because in cases of where if you're walking and it's not your intention to get lost or stuck, sometimes ice, if you're talking about winter, ice can build up, and you don't want to cross the ice if you can help it. This is an egregious mess here. But you don't want to have to slip on ice. So what's the harm in going a little bit out of the way to walk on a snowy area away from a patch of ice, for example, and to try to get, I wouldn't go here, but if I had to get down, the other thing is to hold on to the trees and use it as like a break point, and then stand sideways where you're sliding like this and holding on to trees. But use gloves, I mean, if you can help it. I mean, if you have an emergency, it's not about that, but you also have to consider what are we grabbing onto. Make sure it's not a dry tree or that'll snap. These are green trees. The little baby trees are green, and they're very flexible, or they're supposed to be. Here's more evidence of this viney tree. It's just literally, for no reason apparently, chokes the life out of these trees. This isn't the rainforest. So did somebody incorporate an invasive species in here? And is it only attacking a certain type of tree, or is it different than that? Okay, so this I know is shriveled up sumac. And sumac, a lot of people are allergic to it. Let's see where else I'm going. Well, this, I don't think that's the way. I'm kind of. Here's some mounds. This old stone. It's like they didn't even make concrete. They cut the stone. And now trees have built up over it. And that's somebody's burial ground. This is enough to be, like, if there's no evidence of civilization, you would be you have cause to be very, very concerned if you don't know the way out. Because you could be walking into farther, deeper into woods. And I'm telling you, it gets cold, and it gets to where it's like a beautiful nature hike where you're not one bit afraid can become absolute terror. And I said this, I mean, unless you're pretty certain you're fine to be rescued, I would just say, if you're a young person, I said to somebody, if you're stuck in the woods and you're feeling faint and you have nobody to rescue you and you have no phone signal, I said you gotta carefully put some like dry leaves or embers or something, or dry leaves near your phone, and start a fire or smoke. I mean, if you don't want to burn down the forest, you're willing to, risk being stuck in the woods longer, make sure you're in a clearing where it's nothing but dirt, but bring dead leaves to you, and break open your phone with a piece of metal and try to cause a spark with your face protected or out of the way, and start the leaves on fire. Once you get a little bit of smoke from the leaves, keep going with it, because that way you're creating smoke, and that used to be a means of communication in the mountains. They would send different smoke signals up, a different shape of smoke, and to other times a different color of smoke. And they all meant something as a means of long-distance communication. So they vandalized here. I don't think it's nice to do murals on mausoleums. Sounds like Niagara Falls. Why no? Now, I could tell these rocks are really slimy. You would slip and fall down in this. I don't know what the harm is, but I wouldn't drink this water. See, if I was going to do it like this, or if I had permission, I would set up my camp right here. I mean, why is everybody walking away from their water source? So, I mean, if they say you can't be unsightly to the scenery, you get a camouflage tarp, or you camouflage it by weaving thin branches with leaves into a tarp over your dome tent, and then it's a little more into the nature aspect of it, where you're not going to be too, like, what's this? You have to get permission. I mean, I said it even as a joke, EBT Food House. All I had was EBT, but I had almost $700 worth of food, but no pantry to put it in. So, I mean, I could only eat gourmet lunches and snacks for a short time. Here comes somebody on some kind of a county machine. Let's see what he says. I'll go over here. He got it his way. Hello. That's basically how we get around here. Probably should just put like a special where the jet's bubble comes off. Just do that. It's winter. So, something I learned when I was young is the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. So I can see that the sun is now right over here, and pretty soon the sun is going to dip down under the horizon somewhere around here, and it will be night. By morning, it comes up somewhere around here, and then it starts to cycle over again. So if you're like me, who was a woman who was prone to getting lost, I could at least say, all right, I started out early in the morning and the sun was over here. So that makes sense. All right, that's east. Well, the opposite of east, west. Now I know. But what's next is, once you know where east and west are, north is here and south is there. It doesn't answer every directional question, though. I mean, so GPS is great, but see, this would have to come out. I mean, just like chop it. But the reason why I say this is because, for one thing, I decided I was just going to go to Buffalo, New York. Take a picture of this. I'm telling you, I'm from around here, but I'm not used to seeing all these plants. And I went to the train station over here, and the screen said now boarding, and I knew it was